we're live.
Yeah,
What's that?
the Masonic Lodge one.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it. It's a miscellaneous item today, but it could be something later.
Some more say he's coming.
He's on vacation.
Yeah, I forgot, okay, you said that last time. Jane had to remind me, or remind us, I guess.
The group I finances.
There you go.
Go.
We can go.
We'll have roll call.
Fred Orris is absent.
Any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, real quick, under miscellaneous, we have a letter from the Masonic Lodge. And then I want to talk about the CLNA real briefly as well. Also, under thank yous and donations, we had a thank you for Mr. Mike Herring.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Public comment? Minutes of July 16th.
You guys have laptops. Maybe not have laptops.
I don't know.
We just thought about that. Sorry about that. You guys.
We can look at
We're
that.
good.
We're good.
Okay,
We're
never
good.
mind. I just thought about it as I'm looking up on my website. Maybe that's what it was.
Okay. There's been a motion to approve the minutes. There's a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Student organization fundraiser, Mr. DeFauno.
So the biggest piece right now is just the fundraiser piece. Mrs. Houlihan with Business Professionals of America through our networking classes wanting to do Otis Spunkmeyer, popping popcorn, butter braids, pizza. They're gonna sell all kinds of fun stuff. Fundraiser, that's to afford for her to be able to go through some of the different conferences that they're gonna attend. She also wanted me to inform you that in December, there's a regional competition that will be located here. There's a state competition they would like to participate in March, that's in Indianapolis. And there's a national one in Nashville, Tennessee, that's May 6th. But those are things we would approve later on, but that's what she's gonna use the money for, is offset fees and try to help kids out with that. So if you guys would approve that, we would appreciate that.
Do you hear the recommendation? Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. No unfinished business. Miscellaneous.
So the collective bargaining negotiations with our teachers started this week. We met with them yesterday morning. They got what we gave them, I guess you could say, and they're looking it over. I think they'll kind of come back and kind of counter the offer we made. But, you know, in all purposes, our budget's set and there's only so much we can do. And so we'll go with it and see what we come up with. And we'll go from there. We'll set another meeting. We'll have to do a public hearing meeting after we have a tentative agreement set up. And then after that, we have to post that for 72 hours. And then we can approve that down the road as well. We'll end up approving that hopefully at our next board meeting in October. So we should have one extra public hearing, or public meeting. We'll try to do that either morning or lunch or something like that, to make it so that everybody, whoever can be here can be here. Usually it's just the two representatives from the collective bargaining team and then Mr. Evans and I. So that's where we are. So I think we're in a good spot. I think it went well too. There wasn't really a lot of questions and negotiations at that time. You know, the big thing for them is they want the base to go up. And there's certain with the academic needs, if you guys have seen that stuff with your schools, you know, the experience in education will be 50%, academic needs have to be a minimum of 10% of that, of the overall, and so they're trying to figure out how they can crunch the numbers to make it work. So it'll be good. Next on there is the college career fair. That is next Wednesday, September 24th. It'll be an all-day thing here from, you know, roughly, what do you think, Pete, 9 to 2? 9 to 2 o'clock, so all of our kids will be in the seminar rooms. These two and the two next to us in the hallways. They'll be visiting all the vendors, and businesses and colleges and stuff like that are around here. And we usually have 30 plus people here, 30 plus different businesses and colleges. And so I plan we'll have that again. And we have another one in the spring.
You said that.
Roughly 9 to 2. Count day's coming up October 1st. That's our big day. I can tell you, we right now are at 580 students. Okay, I could probably give you a breakdown of each of your schools if you wanted me to. But we're at 580, which seems down from the previous couple of years. I mean, last year we were, 2 years ago we were over 600. Last year we were 597 or something like that. So yes, we are down, but in all reality, we are still full. I mean, 580 students is a lot of students here. And we, looking at the budget, when I did the budget proposal, I always do estimates. And so we have this massive number that the schools think we're gonna get. And, you know, in the beginning, it's like 635. Well, I know, and we all know, we'll never get that. We always lose kids. And so when I go through my calculations, I come up with an estimate of saying, hey, you know, MSD says they're sending this is what they sent the past 5 years, this is what the adjustment has been, and I do that for each of the schools, and adjust that, and currently, with the 580, our budget is not gonna have any issues. We're gonna be still right where we need to be and have no problems. So I'm not worried about that. I still think that in the end, the budget that I gave, you're still gonna be paying less with 590 students. So, the next one is the addition. We had a letter from, not we, yes, we did, but it went to Manchester. Let me pull it up right here. We had it right there. It is. So this is a letter from the Hannah Lodge 61, which is from the Masonic Lodge, the Freemasons. Okay, currently they have a place downtown. I'm trying to think exactly where it's at.
Is it down on the hill?
It's on the hill, yeah.
North of the museum.
Yes, it's just north of the museum. Yeah,
Yes.
it's north on the east side. Okay, this letter's from Kenneth Norman. If I remember right, I think he is the secretary for the Freemasons here locally. They're writing this letter about the property between Heartland Career Center and Glad. They are interested in possibly purchasing 2 acres between the two. Okay, currently that is cash rooted as part of the crops out there. So this is something at some point we'll need to have a discussion about. I have not reached out to them. I literally got this today at like 1 o'clock.
So what do they want with it?
They want to build a new lodge. That's what they want to do. And I'll be honest with you, the Freemasons, there's not much I know about them. I mean, I know a little bit, but it's something we have to have a discussion with them about. And then all around, in reality, we got to figure out if we even are interested in selling 2 acres off. And then what does that look like at what cost? Because there's a cost to that. And I know at one point they looked at, this is a while back before I got here, and you were still here, but Parkview was possibly interested in purchasing this property.
Parkview was, and then the Bowen Center.
Yep.
No one said.
The Bowen Center paid out some big cash and then put it back.
Yeah.
Now they're building over there. They offered big cash. Just put it that way.
So, the reason I have this on here is because I feel like you kind of need to take this back and maybe have a discussion with the superintendents as well, before we really do anything. I don't want to overstep here.
Right.
Because, again, this was sent to Manchester Superintendent, he forwarded this on me. The reason they got it is because they're the first one on the list on Beacon Schneider of the
Oh,
property.
I was gonna ask.
And so
Why
that's why-
taking it?
As you can see, it says Manchester Community Schools, ETAL, that's because that's what it shows on
Okay.
Okay.
the Beacon Schneider, that's why they got it, okay? You know, 2 acres is 2 acres, I don't know, I have no idea what the value of property is right now for 2 acres right here. It's a pretty prime spot, I think, if you ask me.
Minimum 26,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what does that really do for us,
I don't think it does
you
anything.
know?
I
So,
think there's so many other things we can do.
Well, not too long ago, we were talking about building. right
Yeah.
there, So,
Yeah. I think there's so many options that could happen.
but I do think, you know, I mean, and if you guys don't want to, go back and discuss it with your schools,
Sure.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure it was in your hands before we made any decisions, and did anything with it, so.
I just would hate to see us pigeonhole ourselves into a spot where if we did have the opportunity to expand it. You
Our
know?
activities going on in the summer months, and I don't think it's any weird dealings, but
Right.
what is going on,
Right.
that you're next to
Right.
a school.
Yeah.
So I would be,
Yeah, what's the
and
advantage?
people go in there.
Right.
So.
And I don't know enough about them. I went on there, they've got, it sounds weird, they've got like grandmaster bases, junior bases, and all this other stuff, and so, but community-wise, I feel like it does say on there that they're for the community and. you know,
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely. Yeah.
So, again, I wanted to put that in your hands so you guys can see this, but I don't wanna reach out until I hear back and kind of understand like, hey, I feel like I'm in the same situation you guys where it's really not worth some 2 acres. But I wanna make sure we go through the right steps.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk to Kenny about
I'll mention something.
That's fine, that's all I ask.
it.
Okay. The last thing on the bill of salience is the CLNA. We are starting that process now. That's the comprehensive local needs assessment, which we have to do for our Perkins Fund, okay? We have to do this every 2 years, so my first year we did this. We're doing it again, and we used Inspire Success to kind of help us through that process. The first year I was here, being a new guy and not knowing what I'm doing, it was really nice to have them. We're gonna use them again because they have provided a lot of material for us to use. They will actually host our meetings for us, talk us through everything through this workbook we have to fill out and turn in. And so it's a good little piece for us. And we have a meeting set up the end of this month. And we invite people from each of the schools, some community members. And so we do have a lot of people come in to give some input on what we offer here, what we need to move forward, what we should be looking at. So that's coming up as well. We'll go through that process. We'll finalize that process and have to have that turned in. I want to have it turned in by the end of February, because they want it a month in advance of turning into Perkins. And so Perkins is usually due in April, so I want to try to have that turned in February so we can move forward and get the Perkins done. It'll be kind of a combo process, because in this CLNA, we're going to talk about the needs of the school, and then from those needs is how we're going to find out what we're going to use in Perkins money. Okay, and so that's the CLNA.
New business, financial reports, Mr. Conrad.
Okay, start out with corporation funds. The balance, the ending balance at the end of, I don't even know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm making. Heartland Cruise Center funds reconciliation.
There you go, reset.
Total funds on hand at Heartland in the accounting system on August 1st. $1,723,005.07. Receipts during the month in the amount of $222,006.69. Less disbursements totaling $281,676.38. Leaves a balance of $1,663,335.38 on August 31st. The depository reconciliation, funds on deposit at Crossroads on August 1st, 2025 was $1,727,721.45. Cleared deposits and credits in the amount of $222,006.69. Less cleared checks and other debits, $271,262.21. for a month-end depository balance of Crossroads on August 31st in the amount of $1,678,465.93. At the end of the month, we had 16 outstanding checks totaling $15,130.55. Then moving on to the ECA funds, the beginning month balance on August 1st at Crossroads for the ECA was $100,075.41. Deposits and other credits in the amount of $3,030.73. Checks and other debits in the amount of $950.79. Left a month-ending balance of Crossroads on August 31st, amounting to $102,155.35. There are, as of the end of the month, 3 outstanding checks on the ECA account totaling $1,642.72. Then moving on over to the accounts payable docket. This docket ranged from August 21st through today, 9/17. The total amount was $111,490.72. When I looked through, there wasn't really any outliers that you would make mention of. It was just pretty typical things. As far as payrolls, we've had 2 payroll cycles since the last meeting. The first one was on August 29th. The amount on that cycle was $59,289.72. And then another cycle on September 12th. The total on that one was $58,129.21 for a total payrolls since you last approved in August, $117,418.93.
Are there any questions for Mr. Conrad? If none, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. School improvement plan, Mr. Higgins.
So the school improvement plan, we actually got some good news, a week ago? We found out through an email I received from Inspire, that we don't have to submit a school improvement plan any longer. Which I've always thought was stupid when they asked us to turn around and do this CLNA process anyway. Because really that's our driving force anyway. And all we did was polish that up a lot of times and send it in. But Lloyd and I had talked, and we talked to our school improvement committee, because we still do have a committee, about that. We have been in conversation with that committee for about 6 months now about the potential of looking at a new schedule for next year. And I think you've shared that with everybody on the board where we'll be looking, in essence, 3 sessions instead of 2. We're going to continue to look at that. That's probably going to be our biggest driving force on the school improvement. And if we can do that, which also lightens the load in some of the larger classes, it may free up some people that are, that are not huge right now, but it also would really lighten the load for some of those teachers, like our welding program or our criminal justice program that are pushing 25, 28 kids in the classroom. So that's what we're looking at that way. That's one of the big things. The other thing is the work-based learning tracking is obviously a big deal in all of your schools. How we're doing that, I think we have a decent process going and started, but we do a web-based, basically a virtual time clock is what we do. That also has a geo tracker on it. It's very good as long as the students are doing it. How we're doing that and how we're grading that is a bigger challenge, because teachers can see when the students check in, but if the students aren't doing the things they need to do to check in, then it's easy to forget that Johnny's out on a job, and they're not checking in, and so how we're grading, we want to make sure that's a legitimate grade. And we really want to push them to use that time clock. It's hard, we're still working through that with our school improvement plan on how to track that good as well. The last thing really is adding it back in, because you've got it on the evaluation each year on the CTSOs and clubs. So we're trying to figure out how to really integrate that back in. I know Pete's been working hard with teachers, trying to look at how to integrate clubs back into the programs, which is a measure that we're getting graded on all the time. So those are really our 3 big goals that we're going to focus on.
we got, I can pull up a slideshow that has like several points to it. So right now, each kid's here roughly 3 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the afternoon, which they get 3 credits for. And was previously based on hours. Well, the state says now, as long as you're teaching the content and standards, the hours don't matter. So we can potentially say, okay, we're gonna give 3 kids, or not 3 kids, excuse me, 3 credits for a 2-hour session. And so currently we have 6 hours of school, we can do a 2-hour section, 2-hour section, another 2-hour section. And we still get 6 hours, but then you open up another section for more students to come in, which then means more funding that comes in, which can help cover more costs for everyone else too. Now, that being said, honestly, the biggest question mark is transportation. Right.
You can do it, that's gonna be the only,
That's gonna be the biggest hiccup, is transportation. Do schools wanna drive buses over here another time? Do they wanna let just kids drive? And if we just allow kids to drive, we gotta find more parking lots.
Gotta build this space.
So that's 2 acres.
There you go.
Turn into a parking
there you
lot.
go.
And so we would have to do something like that so that they could drive. There's still a lot of kids that don't drive. And so they're gonna have to at least do some busing. It could be like, hey, you know what, we're only gonna bus the first 2 sections of the day, the afternoon section,
Drivers only, yeah.
for their school. I know, I brought up the superintendents, for like Kenny, he's like, well, what if we only want to do 2 sections? Well, we can figure that out, but I don't want to have it like North Bay wants to do 2 sections, and let's say Northfield wants to do 2 sections. They want first and second session, well, then these guys may have to do second and third, so that we're kind of evening out or something like that.
Right.
So it'd be some logistics we'd have to work out. But it's been a conversation. I think it's an interesting way to maybe do it. The only reason we came up with this idea is there was another standalone career center that was looking to do this.
I was getting ready to ask if someone else did it.
And so they were looking at it. I'll be honest with you, they didn't get it done. They wanted to have it done for this year and they didn't get it done. They couldn't get enough agreement between the schools. But they also have probably what?
17.
Yeah.
It would be really nice if someone else would do it for first.
And
And then we
that's
can.
honestly where the model came from, because I came
Yeah.
back from this meeting that I was at, and I said, look at this, and he's like, I think we can make this happen. So we started the conversation, and honestly, only one teacher, to my knowledge, had any pushback, and once we explained it to that individual, I think they were a little more receptive to the possibility. But honestly, the other thing it really does is that student that does academically strong workload, it gives them
very
more freedoms. And we all know, we're all offering singleton classes of calculus and physics and blah, blah, blah. This gives that student that freedom, they come at a different time.
Yeah,
But it's another expense,
it is.
3 trips for less time.
Well, yes, I would agree with that, but it's 3 trips for less time but more money.
But,
You're gonna lose a little bit of money in transportation, but if we get enough kids, you're gonna replace that easily.
and maybe you say certain kids can drive. I mean, they opened that, you guys opened that up a couple of years ago, and that's really helped to allow some. And honestly, if you're standing out here, Mr. Beatty, at the side of the bus, when those kids come off, they just keep coming and coming and coming. I mean, it's full. And they used to drive 2 buses, now they're down to 1, and it is packed.
I bet there's 3 receipts.
Down in Manchester, both are full.
How does liability work if they drive?
They would have to sign off on a waiver.
We have documents that they sign right now, how good they are, there's always stuff that can be,
I feel like when I was in school, they drove here.
They did when I was in school too.
They had an accident that happened.
it's still on the books too.
When was that, like 20?
No, it was like 1995 or something like
Let's
that.
say, I graduated in '01, and they were busing us
Yeah.
at that time.
And they still bust the majority of the kids, but there was a lot of kids that didn't drive when I was in school.
It may affect your college credits, though, so you're gonna have to. look
It could,
outside of it.
yes, it definitely could.
They still do certain hours, and they'll evaluate how many credits you can have
Right.
for the number of hours, so just kind of keep that in mind.
And
That's not a major thing, but it could be for some kids.
But there's so many things that are offered online now too. I mean, honestly, you know that you've got a lot of CTE pieces that are going on in your own schools and how that's operating. And honestly, I think it's just one more opportunity that we're at least exploring. not saying we're going, it's just, we're exploring.
I just came back from a conference in Indy that there are schools everywhere doing online pathways, and it's just growing. High school's
You
gonna be
go to
a la carte thing.
ISBA's over here.
So that's scary.
It's usually in October, what? Was it?
The thing with a lot of those things is you always have, like I was just having this conversation with one of the schools, you always have to keep in mind, next level program stuff that we do, if your schools start doing it, a lot of times what happens is, and it's not a bad thing, but you're offering the principal's classes. Well, that's one of the 3 classes that we would offer our first year kid.
Right.
So you're getting money on the front end, but what you're doing is cutting out money here on the back end. And it gets kind of tricky how you do that and how many you add. And then if you start adding the core A, now you're really significantly getting into the first year here. And we're having schools that are doing that too, so we're having to do a lot of adjustments, which means kids that normally could come here 2 years can't come here 2 years. Because they don't, there's not enough credits in the class to do that, because we're taking away credits at the other end. So it's just a tricky,
We've had to get fancy now, kids is that way.
yeah.
We've had to get real, it's real tricky, and we're figuring it out.
The big thing is working in partnership. Just working in partnership with the schools and making sure your administrative people, as they get creative with what they're doing, are looking at what we're doing, and are we bumping heads or not bumping heads, or should we be doing different programming instead of the same programming? So, you know, because what would be really cool would be pathway-wise, if you continue to expand out additional pathways instead of bumping heads with the current pathways that are already there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, if we're all offering, for example, if we're all offering computing, and it bumps heads with our computing, it kills that program. You know, we have other areas we can go with some of those things, but it just makes it more difficult. Same thing we're seeing with construction, graphic design, construction, culinary. And so there's a lot of those programs that are being picked up by the schools. Well, I think there's a welding, some of the ones that are starting to do welding. Just things.
I think it was South Harrison, they had like 27 different pathways that they were working. I mean, when they start laying them all out, it's like,
Really?
but I mean, it's a huge corporation too. Right?
But again, the key would be if you guys see Heartland as part of your school, to be able to say, we already offer that pathway,
Right.
let's offer a different pathway, so that it's not cutting out what this school does as well, and you're adding additional kind of things. I think the problem we're seeing is that they're adding similar pathways to what we have, and it's just, you lose programming, you lose kids.
Donations.
So we had 3 donations listed there. Horn Meter Box annually gives the Heartland money. You said it was 22,
Well, they gave 15
15,000?
each year.
Okay.
And yeah, so each year they send a check for $15,000. I think they send one to most of the business organizations in Wabash County. I don't know if they do Miami County or not, but I know in Wabash County they do. We were added onto that probably, I know it was before I was here, but I think it was probably what, the last 3 years Mark was here at least.
Well, it used to be 5,000, they've really increased it the last 8 years probably.
And so we haven't used all of the money that they give to us each year, but this past year we used some money, not from this donation, but for previous donations, we've used money for different things. You know, we bought some kits for our students in precision machining, so every kid can have a kit in the classroom for measuring and different tooling and things like that. It was something our teacher, you know, felt like that they needed to do, and I said, I think we can do that. And so we used part of that money for that. We got a large format printer in our graphic design room that can be used in multiple ways. We can print large prints for our advanced manufacturing. We can do different clings and wall wraps and car wraps and all kinds of stuff. And so it's kind of a neat thing, and we have an instructor there, I think, who's going to really do a lot with that. She's already been messing with it, and so I think she's been printing Heartland stickers right now. And she's got to do some tests to kind of make sure, okay, if I'm doing this, I want to cut the sticker, but I don't want to cut all the way through so that it just peels off and different settings like that. And so she's working through that. I'm interested in the car wrap stuff with the vinyl because, you know, we got a little Equinox back here and I'm like, hey, if they get that fixed, wrap it up in Heartland and
Yeah.
drive around. So, it's probably not, you're probably right. But again, 4 Leader Box is always generous in helping out and providing those opportunities for us to make successes for our students better.
The next one on there, well, actually, that went to the Fort Meter Box Foundation and Dan Ford, so if you see Dan out in the community and any of the boards, just thank them, because that is an annual gift that they do provide for us. Alro Seal, we have, and I'm not sure how this lady came into the building, she's from the Manchester area, but she came in a year ago and talked to Jack, Holly, and some of us and said, hey, we're here to help. And the next thing we knew, we had a truck showing up with just cuts of material. So this past time, they sent down 2-inch square, 11 gauge tubing. They sent us a 5x2 piece of square tubing, 7 gauge tubing, and then a piece of stainless that's 2 3/4 round stock. It's only about 8 inches long, but it was a piece of stainless that we could use in our machining area. But they have been very good to support, and we never know when the truck's coming. They just show up and here's your stuff. So Sharon Rancourt is the lady's name that has been the individual that's supported us. And actually, Jack went to FabTech last week, ran into corporate folks from Alro, which are, do you say they were out of Arizona? Is that right, Lloyd? They were out west somewhere, and they knew about Heartland Career Center because they had to approve the donation through the Alro in Fort Wayne. So, sort of a cool thing there. So, the last one was, again, a phone call to Jack Holly, Mike Herring. He is a Manchester individual, works for Miller Pipeline, and evidently, whenever they open a container of rod, if they don't use it on an 8-hour shift, you have to discard it. So his wife showed up here yesterday, had a box of rod, all 70-18 rod. He said it's about 250 pounds of welding rod that were
If
donated.
he takes it, like if it's open or he takes it home.
Yeah, it's open, he said it doesn't matter if it's, because there's no pipeline welding, so it had to be certified welding, and someone somewhere along the line said you draw moisture, so you gotta get rid of it, so we were the recipient, and I'm guessing we will be. That's a
Those welding
huge
rods
thing.
I got at home, 20 years old, won't work.
Yeah, they will. With what you're doing, they'll work, because I got to say it wasn't my house. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, 250 pounds of rod, that's a lot. That's a lot of rod. And I think the last box, what do you say, $90 for a 50-pound container?
Yes.
And we go through, I mean, 28 kids in the afternoon, 22 in the morning, so we're going through a lot of rod. So that was a nice gift to receive, for sure.
Got the next meeting, Wednesday, October 15th. Is there a motion to adjourn, unless there's other questions, or
I'll make a motion. So, second.
the moved and second, all in favor,
Get back to
say
my
aye.
girls.
As opposed, motion passed.
Sign some papers so Darcy doesn't come